in this future, in this 2040, magiging less attractive ang Canada sa mga immigrants. So yung mga tao, para lang makakain, mangingisda na sila, mag-hunt, or mangunguha ng mga pagkain sa mga public lands like may mga prutas elsewhere, kukuhanin na lang nila yon para lang makasurvive. So in this future, dahil marami na ang naniniwala na the system have failed them, kung sino-sino na lang ang biniblame nila. And pag nagkaganon nga, lahat na lang biniblame mo. So ito yung dystopian future na yung mga tao nagsisisihan na ano kaya ang mangyayari sa Canada sa taong 2040? Maganda kaya ang kinakaharap ng Canada sa taong ito? Halika, pag-usapan natin. Hi guys! Welcome again to my channel. So sa episode na ito, gusto kong pag-usapan natin itong report na nakita ko online na makikita mismo sa website ng Canada. Ito ay patungkol sa report kung ano ang kinakaharap ng Canada sa taong 2040. Now, aaminin ko sa inyo guys, hindi maganda ang nakalagay sa report na ito. And hindi ko kayo tinatakot, especially kayong mga kababayan ko na nandito sa Canada, na nagpunta sa Canada para magkaroon ng magandang pamumuhay. Pero hindi maganda ang nakalagay sa website na ito. Hindi ako nananakot, pero gusto kong pag-usapan yung mga bagay na nakasulat dito. Kaya it's best na para hindi magkatotoo itong mga report na nakalagay dito, mag-participate tayo ngayong halalan and let's vote for a change. So tara, pag-usapan na natin. So ito yung website guys, ipapakita ko yung website. Ito yon. Now, itong website na ito ay mula sa mismong Government of Canada, makikita nyo naman. Tapos ang gumawa ng report na ito ay ang Policy Horizons Canada. So ano ang sabi ng website na ito tungkol sa Policy Horizons Canada? Basahin natin. Ang sabi dito, Policy Horizons Canada is the Government of Canada's Center of Excellence in Foresight. Our mandate is to empower the Government of Canada with a future-oriented mindset and outlook to strengthen decision-making. And ang sabi pa rito, Policy Horizons Canada, also referred to as Policy Horizons, is an organization within the Federal Public Service that conducts strategic foresight on cross-cutting issues that informs public servants today about the possible public policy implications over the next 10 to 15 years. So, bago natin puntahan itong pinaka-article na ito, hindi naman siguro lingid sa kaalaman natin na tayong mga nandito sa Canada for the past 10 years, masyadong malaki ang ibinagsak ng quality of life dito sa Canada. Remember dun sa previous video ko, in 2014, the middle class in Canada is one of the best in the world. Pero after 10 years of this current government, yung middle class sa Canada halos naghihirap na rin at hindi na sila makasabay sa mga gastusin dito sa Canada. Ngayon, anong mangyayari kung magpapatuloy itong trend na ito? Pumasok na tayo sa mismong article. Mas maganda guys, I suggest na pagkatapos nyo mapanood itong video na ito, kayo mismo puntahan nyo itong website na ito at basahin nyo yung article and read it for yourself para hindi nyo masabi na nag-iimbento lang ako o nananakot lang ako. Kasi sabi dito sa introduction, babasahin ko, the scenario below paints a picture of Canada in 2040 in which most Canadians find themselves stuck in the socio-economic conditions of their birth and many face the very real possibility of downward social mobility. So ano yung ibig sabihin ng downward social mobility? Ito ay tumutungkol sa kung ano yung status mo sa society patuloy na bumababa. Hindi umaangat yung status mo, kundi pababa ng pababa. Kaya nga downward social mobility. Maaring bumababa yung status mo in terms of wealth, in terms of living condition, and in terms of coping up with the society. So sabi dito, in 2040, more snakes than ladders. So kung alam nyo yung laro na Snakes and Ladders, ito yung pag napunta ka sa tile na ladder, aangat ka ng maraming steps, di ba? Pero pag napunta ka sa tile na may snake, kakagating ka ng ahas, tapos bababa ka ng ilang steps pababa. So sabi dito sa report na ito, in 2040, mas maraming snakes kaysa ladder. So mas marami yung chance na bumaba yung status mo sa society kaysa umangat ang status mo sa society. So basahin natin. Sabi dito, in 2040, upward social mobility is almost unheard of in Canada. So sa 2040 daw, yung idea na may chance kang umangat yung status mo sa society in terms of wealth, in terms of living condition, parang almost unheard of na yun sa Canada. So parang hindi na siya common sa Canada. Sabi dito, hardly anyone believes that they can build a better life for themselves or their children through their own effort. However, many worried about sliding down the social order. So mas marami ang natatakot na baka bumaba yung status nila sa social order. This scenario identifies 6 main ways the world has changed since 2024. Okay. So 2024, last year, so going to 2040. So let's identify the 6 main ways that the world has changed. Number 1, post-secondary education. Sabi dito, in 2040, pursuing post-secondary education is no longer considered a reliable path to social mobility. Tuition and housing costs exclude all but the wealthy. So, yung pagkuha ng mga post-secondary education, hindi na raw to reliable path para umangat yung status mo sa society. Tapos yung makaka-afford lang ng mga tuition fee at ng mga bahay, yung mga mayayaman lamang. Tapos kung babasahin natin dito, fewer young people choose PSE or post-secondary education. Those who do see it less as a path to a successful career than a way to reinforce their membership in the elite. So that's number 1. So yung pagkuha ng post-secondary education hindi na magiging common in 2040. Tapos yung number 2, housing. Sabi dito, in 2040, owning a home is not a realistic goal for many. Most new homeowners get help from family members. So pag kukuha ka ng bahay mo, kailangan may kasama ka sa pamilya mo. Tapos sabi dito, some take out intergenerational mortgages and have several generations of family living together. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Pag kukuha ka ng mortgage sa bahay, idadabay mo na pati yung mga anak mo. Kasi sa generation mo lang, hindi sapat yung generation mo para mabayaran yung mortgage na kukuhanin mo. So nakakatakot, di ba? Tapos kung babasahin pa natin, others enter alternative household mortgages with friends. So kung wala kang pamilya, ang way mo lang para magkaroon ka ng bahay is mag-mortgage kasama ang inyong mga kaibigan. Tapos sabi pa rito, a growing percentage of homeowners also own rental properties. So yung mga may bahay na, meron din silang mga rental properties. Tapos, they oppose policies to expand the housing supply or freeze rent. So itong mga homeowners na ito, they will oppose any policy para madagdagan yung mga supply ng bahay. Bakit? Kasi pag hindi dumami supply ng bahay, yung property na meron sila, yung bahay na meron sila, tataas ang value. Tapos they will also oppose sa mga pag-freeze ng rent. So tututulan nila yung government pag i-freeze ng government yung mga prices sa mga rent. Kasi gusto nga nila tumaas yung presyo ng mga renta sa bahay. Tapos sabi rin dito, inequality between those who rent and those who own has become a key driver of social, economic, and political conflict. So doon naman tayo sa number 3, intergenerational wealth. In 2040, people see inheritance as the only reliable way to get ahead. So sabi dito, yung mga taong may makukuha mana, nakikita nila na yung mana na makukuha nila sa mga magulang nila is the only reliable way to get ahead. So yung mana makukuha nila, yung nakikita nilang way para makaungo sa society. Tapos sabi dito, Society increasingly resembles an aristocracy. So ano yung aristocracy? Ito yung society kung saan yung mga mayayaman ang kumokontrol sa government, the aristocrats. Wealth and status passed down the generations. Family background, especially owning properties, divides the haves from the have-nots. So there are only two types of family background in 2040. Yung mga may kaya or mayayaman, yung mga may bahay, may mga property, at yung mga mahihirap at yung mga walang property. So, nakakatakot talaga, no? Tapos, tuloy natin yung number 4. Social siloing. In 2040, people rarely mix with others of different socio-economic status. So, in 2040, yung mga mayayaman, sila-sila lang magkakasama. Yung mga mahihirap, sila-sila lang yung magkakasama. There's no mixing of different socio-economic status. Tapos sabi rin dito, algorithmic dating apps filter by class. So, yung mga dating apps, naka-filter yan by class. So, there's no mixing of different status. Tapos, sabi rin dito, it is hard to move up in the world by making social connections that could lead to long-term romantic relationships, job opportunities, or business partnerships. Tapos, sabi rin dito, social relations no longer offer pathways to connections or opportunities that enable upward mobility. So, wala ng mga social relations kung saan pwede kayo magtulungan ng mga kasamahan mo of different socio-economic status para umangat yung status mo sa buhay. Kasi nga, meron ng social siloing or kanya-kanya na. Parang it's a form of tribalism. Yung mga mayaman, sila-sila. Yung mga mahirap, sila-sila. So, since there's no social relationship between those two, walang opportunity that enables yung upward mobility o yung pag-angat mo sa society. Now, number 5, basahin natin. Aspirations and expectations. In 2040, aspirations for social mobility among youth are at odds with expectations of e-mobility. So in 2040 daw, yung aspiration mo na umangat sa status in terms of wealth, in terms of status mo sa society, hindi siya tumutugma sa kung ano yung nangyayari sa reality. Kung yung expectation mo sa reality, hindi siya tumutugma dun sa mga aspirations mo. Sabi rin dito, advertising and marketing discourses continue to drive the desire to climb the social ladder, but economic realities leave most with limited expectations of success. Cognitive dissonance between what youth are programmed to want and what they know they can expect leads many to frustrations and apathy. Only a few maintain a strong drive to innovate and succeed in traditional terms. So, konti lang talaga ang magkakaroon ng drive to innovate and succeed. Kasi, mas malaki yung possibility na sa mga kabataan nga, what they want and what they know they can expect leads to many frustrations and apathy. So, hindi nga tumutugma yung gusto nila sa kung ano yung nararanasan nila. And then, dun tayo sa number 6. Sabi rito, artificial intelligence. In 2040, the value of human labor has shrunk because of artificial intelligence or AI. So, most of the jobs kukuhanin ng AI. So, yung mga labor jobs, nandiyan pa rin siguro yan, pero most likely, karamihan mga AI na magte-take over. Tapos ito yung nakakatakot dyan. Sabi dito, most people rely on gig work and side hustles to meet their basic needs. It is hard for workers to save enough to start a business. So, kailangan mag-rely ng mga tao on side gigs and side hustles para lang mairaos nila yung mga basic needs nila. Diba? It is hard for workers to save enough to start a business. Ngayon, kung babasahin pa natin yung article, baba lang tayo ng konti, ito yung nakalagay dito sa 3.1. The Canadian economy could shrink or become less predictable. Sabi dito, capital for investment in new enterprises may concentrate in the hands of a small number of very wealthy older people. So yung mga new enterprises, mga new investment, mga new businesses, nakakonsentrate lang sila sa mga mayaman at matandang tao. Their perspective and preferences may determine which sectors become winners and losers in terms of innovation and job growth. So ito nga yung aristocracy na sinasabi kanina, na yung mga mayayaman, sila yung nagdedetermine kung sino yung mga winners and sino yung mga losers sa society. Tapos basa pa tayo. Trade unions, including non-traditional freelancer unions, could grow in power as workers become frustrated. Job actions and strikes may disrupt economic development. This could reduce foreign direct investment in labor-intensive sectors such as manufacturing. So yung mga unions, yung mga strikes can disrupt economic development, sabi niya, which in turn, they will dissuade, or ano ba yung dissuade sa Tagalog? Yung i-discourage nila yung mga foreign investors na mag-invest dito sa Canada because of these strikes and economic disruptions na ginagawa ng mga unions, ng mga trade unions. Tapos, ano pa yung sabi? Tingnan natin. Sabi rin dito, property ownership and by extension wealth may become even more concentrated if younger generations abandon the idea of buying single-family dwellings in favor of renting or forming alternative households. That could leave those with existing capital or equity in a position to snap up more and more residential property, which could also produce higher rental costs in the future. So sabi rin dito, since yung pag-purchase ng property medyo mahirap na nga, so ang mangyayari, yung mga younger generations, iiwan nila yung idea na bumili ng mga bahay, ng mga property. So ano yung mangyayari? Yung mga may kaya, yung mga mayaman, yung mga may equity, sila yun lang yung bibili ng mga property. And in turn, pag sila yung bibili ng mga property, so sila yung may-ari ng mga maraming property na pwede nilang iperenta, rental cost in the future will be higher. Kasi sila lang yung nagpaparenta. Yung mga kabataan, inabandona na nila yung idea na magkaroon sila ng sariling bahay. Tapos tuloy natin. Since many people have less in this future and see no way to improve their status through consumption and display, they spend less, they could shrink the consumer economy. So yung mga tao, since they don't see any future for them, di sila masyadong gumagastos, they spend less, so mangyayari, magsasuffer yung economy. Ngayon, pagdating naman sa mental health, sabi dito, more people may struggle to afford rent, bills, or groceries. The resulting stress could worsen mental health challenges. Tapos sabi din dito, if people give up on attaining higher standards of living, apathy could spread to other areas of their lives. Frustration could leave many people deeply unhappy with negative consequences for their family and loved ones. In addition, fewer people may have the psychological resources to volunteer and help others. Tapos sabi sa susunod, in an effort to protect their mental health, some people might redefine success away from accumulating wealth and towards purposefulness or happiness. So, sabi nga dito, since para maprotektahan ng mga tao in this 2040 future yung kanilang mental health, i-redefine nila yung ibig sabihin ng success. So success is no longer being able to buy a property. Success is no longer being able to find a high-paying job. Basta sa kanila, success is just being happy. So yun yung magiging state of mind ng mga tao in this future. Sabi rin dito, fewer people may have the drive to build and innovate in this context. So nakakatakot ng future na to. Tapos kung babasahin pa natin dito sa 3.3, sabi dito, workers may seek greener pastures elsewhere. Sabi dito, Canada may become a less attractive destination for migrants if it is seen as a country where upward mobility is uncommon. More people in Canada, including recent immigrants, may immigrate to jurisdictions where they perceive upward social mobility or higher standard of living are easier to attain even if they are not. If young workers live in Canada, it may become harder to pay for the system that supports a growing number of older people. There could be labor shortages in sectors where AI replacement of workers or automation are most difficult. Example includes care work, agriculture, and construction. So, in this future, in this 2040, magiging less attractive ang Canada sa mga immigrants. Tapos yung mga tao na nandito na aalis din sila kasi nga hindi na maganda yung status of condition dito sa Canada. And pag nangyari yon, mahihirapan yung Canada na suportahan yung mga growing population niya, tumatandang population kasi yung mga able-bodied people na kaya magtrabaho umaalis sa Canada. And then magkakaroon nga ng labor shortages kasi yung ibang mga trabaho pinalitan na ng AI, and ang mga maapektuhan is yung care work, agriculture, and construction. Tapos dito tayo sa susunod sa 3.4. People might find alternative ways to meet their basic needs. Medyo nakakatakot to. Sabi dito, housing, food, childcare, and healthcare cooperatives may become more common. So pagdating sa food, sa childcare, tsaka sa healthcare, magiging kooperatiba na yan, magtutulong-tulungan na yung mga tao. Hindi nakakayanin ng isang pamilya na tumira sa kanyang sariling bahay ng sila-sila lang, or bumili ng pagkain ng sila-sila lang. Lahat magiging kooperatiba na. Tapos sabi dito, forms of person-to-person exchange of goods and services could become even more popular, reducing tax revenues and consumer safety. So, kung nag-aral kayo sa Pilipinas, yung barter trade, kung saan nagpapalitan na lang kayo ng goods, hindi na kayo nagbabayaran ng pera, ganun daw yung mangyayari sa future na ito, to reduce paying taxes. Grabe, ano? Tapos sabi rin dito, people may start to hunt fish and forage on public lands and waterways without reference to regulation. So yung mga tao, para lang makakain, mangingisda na sila, mag-hunt, or mangunguha na mga pagkain sa mga public lands, like may mga prutas elsewhere, kukuhanin na lang nila yon para lang makasurvive, na wala silang pakialam kung may regulation ba sa mga bagay na yon. Like ngayon, di ba? Kung mangingisda ka, kailangan mo ng permit. Pero in that future, wala nang pakialam yung mga tao sa permit. Since kailangan na nilang kumain, mangingisda sila kahit na walang permit. Tapos sabi rin dito, government may come to seem irrelevant if they cannot enforce basic regulations, or if people increasingly rely on grassroots solutions to meeting basic needs. So, magiging irrelevant na yung government kung yung mga tao hindi nila kayang kontrolin, kasi yung mga tao kailangan nila mag-survive at hindi na sila nakikinig sa government. So pag nagkaganito yung sitwasyon, ano yung mangyayari? Sabi dito sa 3.6, people may reject systems they believe they have failed them. So sabi dito, people who work hard but see little reward may look for others to blame. Some may blame AI, big tech, CEOs, social media, unions, or capitalism. Tapos some may blame the state or yung mismong government. Some may choose to blame those with capital o yung mga may kaya sa buhay, mga mayaman. Some may choose to blame immigrants or other identifiable group. So, i-blame nila yung mga immigrants na dumarating. So, in this future, dahil marami na ang naniniwala na the system have failed them, kung sino-sino na lang ang biniblame nila. And pag nagkaganon nga, lahat na lang biniblame mo. So ito yung dystopian future na yung mga tao nagsisisihan na, lahat sinisisi nila, nagkakagulo na, parang dystopian nga, magulo na yung future. Ito yung mangyayari sa Canada in 2040 kapag nagpatuloy yung trend ng economy dito sa Canada. So ano yung conclusion natin guys? Ano yung masasabi natin? Well, unang-una, ito ay report lamang pero may basihan sila. So nag-conduct sila ng maraming research para makapag-arrive sa ganitong conclusion. It doesn't necessarily mean na magkakatotoo ito. Pero it may come true kung patuloy ang downward trend ng economy ng Canada. Sabi ko nga, in 2014, Canada has one of the best middle class status in the world, which is hindi na katulad ngayon, bumagsak na ng bumagsak ang economy ng Canada. At kung magpapatuloy ito, itong 2040 na nakasulat sa report na ito, baka magkatotoo. And tayo, especially tayo mga Pilipino, nagpunta tayo sa Canada in a hope of better future, di ba? Pero kung ang future natin magiging ganito, parang paano na anong mangyari? Nakakatakot. Hindi lang para sa atin, kundi para na rin sa mga anak natin. Kasi gusto natin na magkaroon sila ng better future. So, simulan natin yung pagbabago through this election na mangyayari ngayon. Alam nyo kung ano na ang nangyari dito sa Canada for the past 10 years. Please help make a difference. Vote for a change. Gawan natin ng paraan para hindi magkatotoo itong mga nakasaad sa report na ito. So there you go guys. I hope kahit papano nagkaroon kayo ng idea sa kung ano yung report ko sa inyo. Alam ko medyo nakakatakot to, pero let's pray na hindi sana mangyari to. And if you don't mind, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, click the notification bell, and share this video with your friends. And gusto ko rin makita yung comment niyo, drop your comment below. Gusto ko makita yung comment niyo kung ano yung masasabi niyo dito sa report na ito. And may I suggest na basahin nyo yung report nito so that you too will be informed kung ano yung possibility na maaaring mangyari sa Canada in 2040 kapag nagpatuloy itong trend ng pagbagsak ng economy ng Canada. So, there you go guys. Maraming salamat po. Hanggang sa susunod. I hope nag-enjoy kayo. Bye!